Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. Excuse me. I hear a term tossed around in paranormal circles, and it labels science as scientism. Notice the ism at the end of it. And these people are kind of trying to push science away, saying it's just a belief system. This is not entirely unjustified. There's a lot of stuff science cannot presently explain. There's a lot of information in science that's, well, people with their heads in the clouds dreaming about the future. And science doesn't always make an effort to investigate or accept new information. Einstein took him years to get his theories of special and general relativity accepted. And if you're a local person and you don't have much reason to leave your immediate city, science of the outer planets may not mean much to you, if at all. The trouble is, it's setting up an artificial division that doesn't need to take place. Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson and I do not agree on everything. He, strangely, is a determinist, meaning everything is set up and follows a plan. I believe in free will. That being said, none of us can say for sure. I mean, he can measure things in waves and lines and probabilities, and he can prove his point, and I can prove mine. This doesn't mean we can't respect each other. Well, I doubt he thinks of me at all. And that's the important point to science. It's something we can all see. It works for us every single day. At some point during the day, unless you live in a really remote location, you're going to see a car, probably going to see a plane. You're probably going to see a phone or a computer screen. Those are products of science. Magic, the supernatural, stuff like that, you can't reproduce those effects. It follows its own rules, for lack of better. Does this mean it doesn't exist? No. It does exist. We haven't figured out the conditions, the parameters, where it decides to pop up and say, "Hi, I'm a UFO flying over the city at the moment." That could be some sort of weird plasma effect. Even though I don't believe aliens are visiting Earth, it could be aliens in a spaceship, it could be a multidimensional traveler. We don't have enough information. And science works exactly by gathering information. A couple years ago, people theorized about gravity waves, but we only recently built detectors that can even register their existence. We still don't know what they are, but we can now point firmly and say, aha, we now have evidence gravity exists, aside from, jumping up and down and dropping something from a height. Now we can prove there's something there. Don't know what it is. And the paranormal sciences are exactly the same way. Doctors can cure most ailments. There's a few they have trouble with, but they're progressing towards, taking care of their patients and giving them a comfortable life, even when they're afflicted with various problems. Unfortunately, the I'm going to use the term witch doctor here because there is such thing as quack science. And they believe in what they are doing. That doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. Paracelsus, one of my favorites, he was kicked out of every single town that he ever went to because he had this radical idea. He kept everything clean. His patients recovered much better than the doctors practicing traditional elements like bloodletting and amputation, all these horrible things. You keep a wound clean, the body will heal itself. He didn't know the mechanics of it, but he knew what worked. Whereas the other doctors of the time trying to balance the humors and, whatever strange things they were doing, they had a very low success rate because it was pretty much just leaving somebody there to pass away. Now, the funny thing is these people that I hear crying scientism are doing it on YouTube and other streaming platforms. And that's the funny part. You notice I don't use the word irony a lot because irony doesn't mean what you think it does. But they are using devices produced by science, whether you're on a computer, whether you're on a phone. Maybe there's another way to consume content that I'm not aware of. But that phone, that computer has been developed over decades, if not even longer. The network has taken an investment of billions of dollars. So they're trying to reject science as a belief, but we can see that belief every day and we use it every single day. It's not scientism, it's science. Now, on the other hand, science has to throw these people a bone and say, okay, we'll look into flat Earth. And 10 seconds later, yeah, we have satellites, we have probes and stuff like that on the moon and Mars. And this is what these same people who start talking about scientism trip themselves up. As Adam Savage said, I reject your reality and substitute my own. Now, he did it for a positive reason and is a pretty good experimenter. I'm not going to argue with Adam any day of the week, but he's better at reverse engineering things than I am. But that's the problem. When you have to start leaving pieces of evidence out for your belief system to work, you're putting yourself in dangerous territory. If science doesn't work, how come a thermometer can be used to predict whether outside is warm or cold? Whether your food is grilled or not? A thermometer is, well, the modern ones are different, but the thermometer has been around for generations. Our grandparents had thermometers filled with mercury and all sorts of horrible chemicals, but they did the job. And I'm trying to use the most basic scientific principles here. You even have thermometers specialized for Fahrenheit or Celsius, and they're even inexpensive to get a hold of. So if you're saying, oh, I don't believe in science, and then you're using the products of science, it seems to me that science has proven its worth. It's the paranormal that needs to step up and say, okay, we'll present evidence that's as close as close to a minimal doubt as possible. These are eyewitnesses. Eyewitnesses are always your worst witnesses because people are human. They've done so many tests on memory. I remember this is one, I think it was the Discovery Channel did this, or at least the episode I saw was on the Discovery Channel. And they took these people on a hike, and there was it was supposed to be a nature hike, and these are just random people that were interested in taking the nature hike. They had roped off an area. They had a soldier there. Here's an example. I don't remember whether the soldier was actually armed or not. And they had what looked like an alien body, like all that sort of stuff constructed in the background. Probably out of cardboard and styrofoam. But that was the idea, is just to give them a quick look at it and then shuffle them along. The tour guide was the one who told them, yeah, they set up here this morning. I have no idea what's going on. Let's go away. In the eyewitnesses' eyes, they were saying the soldier charged at us. Oh yeah, there were aliens and ghosts and Sasquatch and all these things there. It was a very interesting experiment to prove the human mind is not always the best. It's worth it to get the testimony, because hopefully with everybody you can build a complete picture. And that's exactly what courts do. But we need more than that. I spoke the other day about a Yeti here that was proved to be just a common goat. The important thing is we looked at it. We tested it. Not the real thing. But the same token, we don't know the circumstances exactly on when it was recovered. Was it somebody playing a practical joke and these people will believe anything? Or was it, a person who genuinely believed and decided that was what they were going to present as evidence? We need science to advance in the paranormal. We are very good with dealing with the electromagnetic spectrum. But like I said, with gravity, we can't measure it precisely. Maybe there's other fields. I'm going to pull either out of my head. People believed in either for generations. They still do. Mediums are still producing apparitions. They're still making ectoplasm. Now, unfortunately, the ones that want to show off are the ones who are most encouraged to cheat, to make sure they're going to have an advantage. This is something I intend to go in another day, is ectoplasm. So the important thing, we can't be segregating science and the paranormal. They're essential to one another. And yes, there are circumstances that you can live in where you can believe what you want and it's not going to make a lick worth of difference. Like I said, the more isolated you are, the less invested you are in mainstream science and technology. But what we can't deny is, if I use that example, YouTube will ban me. If somebody has a pew-pew and aims it in your direction and decides to activate it, I sound like a child, thanks YouTube, then your injury will be pretty catastrophic. But science can treat you. Science can show the angle that the projectile entered your body and exited it, if it did in fact exit it. And that's, quite frankly, that's an unbelievable bit of ability right there. The ancients wouldn't have even thought of it. But it's essential for trials and all that sort of thing. The supernatural is something we need to investigate because we don't even know how practical it might be. And if we don't understand something, that's a gap in our knowledge. The purpose of humanity is to expand our knowledge over time. And maybe one day science is going to come up with a theory that replaces everything. Makes Einstein look like he didn't think everything through. That's the purpose of science. You keep improving, you keep getting better. Meanwhile, paranormal investigators are still walking around old houses. Is there anybody there? And ooh, I got a cold spot here. Um, they're using those voice detectors, whatever you want to call them. And I've run one of those myself here in my house. I was expecting to get a lot more of my family moving around, so I ignored all results after 6 o'clock in the morning. But I did catch a couple noises. I couldn't tell what they were. Most of them were pretty logical. There was a there was a noise. Ooh. It took me a minute, and then I realized it was either a car or a truck going by on the highway. I found that one interesting, not because it was paranormal, but we are close to a major roadway, but there's apartments and houses and parks and everything between us. And when I realized how far away this thing was picking things up, hey, that's science. That isn't scientism, that's science. I found something mysterious, I identified it. Science works. Paranormal works. We just need to figure out how. With that, we hope you enjoyed this episode on the Silverlight Show. If we did, please like, share, because sharing is caring. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Please click the notification icon so that way you can be they'll let you know every time we upload a new episode. And we hope you have a fantastic